Well, many people see the new year as a chance to lose weight or change their eating habits. From processed meats to so-called superfoods, salt, sugar, and fat, it's really hard to know what to keep in your diet and what to cut out. Ian Hannamansing spoke to registered dietitian Crystal Higgins about the biggest nutrition news of 2015.
So, Crystal, one of the biggest food stories of the past year, meat. Does it cause cancer or not?
Well, that's a bit of a controversial question. This year, it was interesting because they compilated a lot of data and they classified processed meats in the same category as smoking and asbestos. So that definitely raises a red flag, especially for the frequent users. So they're saying it causes cancer. I would start avoiding it.
And so your clients must have been asking you during the year, what should they do? Can they have a little bit of bacon? Can they have some smoked meat? And what have you been telling them?
I would say less is best, right? Have it for a special occasion, having it when you're really gonna appreciate it and enjoy it, and try not to make it a regular habit.
And so some people had equated this meat with smoking. You know, if you had a client asking about smoking, you would say to him or her, just don't do it.
Yes.
With this, you're talking about, well, less than moderation, not none at all, but just a little bit. Absolutely,
and I think that the risk is relative. So when you're looking at the overall risk for colon cancer, it's about 8%. And if you're having processed meat regularly, it raised your risk of 8% up 18%. So that's a lot lower than your risk of smoking.
All right.
Lung cancer.
Let's talk about another big food story of the past year, fat. Once upon a time, fat was something you avoided, not necessarily you, but people avoided at any cost. Fat-free was the fad, and now we've relented a little bit on that.
Right, so fat is back. There was a study done on the Journal of American Medical Association, and it looked at potentially even lifting the ban for a top level of fat percentage per day. So now we're thinking, okay, well maybe fat isn't as bad as it was. Maybe we should start looking at the refined carbohydrates and sugars, because oftentimes a lot of low-fat or zero-fat products are just loaded with extra sugar to compensate for flavor.
Yeah, and I discovered that the hard way after talking to a colleague of yours, another dietitian, about sugar, and then I looked at the yogurt that I had. It was organic, it was low-fat, but it was loaded with sugar. So 25 grams of additional sugar a day kind of should be the top end, I guess, eh?
Definitely. We're recommending no more than 10 teaspoons a day, ideally 6 teaspoons for women, 9 teaspoons for men. And that less is best again there, unfortunately. But fat is great. Again, we don't want to overdo it, but fat definitely provides the flavor and keeps you fuller over a longer period of time. So definitely something to look at.
So sugar should be limited.
Yes.
Which makes a lot of people think about aspartame. And I've heard all kinds of views about aspartame, good, bad, or indifferent, although hardly anyone is indifferent towards aspartame. Pepsi has gotten rid, and this is one of the other stories you've noted for 2015, we'll be getting rid of aspartame in Diet Pepsi south of the border.
Yes.
What do you say to people in Canada about aspartame?
Well, aspartame is one of the most studied ingredients in the world. Over 200 studies. It's in over 6,000 food products. It's deemed as safe. Now, that being said, do I recommend my clients include it? Not necessarily. I think the issue with aspartame and other artificial sweeteners is it still gets you hooked on that sweet flavor. So you never really get accustomed to natural foods and their natural flavors.
But let's back up for a moment, because it is interesting. A lot of people have heard about some study somewhere in Europe that links aspartame to cancer. That's not your concern. Cancer's not your concern. It's the idea that it still conditions people to like sweet things.
Exactly.
And so your suggestion is bland food.
Yeah, no way. Get into the spice rack. And I mean, looking at natural sugars in moderation, things like maple syrup and honey are excellent. Yes, they have sugar, yes, they have calories, but they're a natural form. And if you use that in moderation, I think that's the better way to go.
We have just half a minute, but let's finish with a positive message for 2016. What's your advice?
My advice is go clean and go green for 2016. So by clean, I mean finding fresh, local, simple, whole foods. And green, looking at things from more of a sustainability aspect. Huge trend for 2016 is including including more pulses. Most people don't know what that term is, but that's actually legumes. So chickpeas, beans, lentils, dry peas. Sounds maybe a little bit off, but they can be integrated in so many healthy, delicious meals, tacos, soups, stews, you name it. It's a great way to not only save money, but also promote a better sustainable environment as well.
Well, there'll be lots of big stories about food in 2016 for sure, and we look forward to talking to you then. Thanks, Crystal.
Great. Thank you.